Well, good morning and welcome to Coffee with Ken. I'm Ken Biberai, a managing director at Savills, a leading global commercial real estate firm. In the news today, University of North Carolina and Kansas face off in the NCAA championship, and the U.S. Travel Association reported that 85% of Americans plan to travel this year. So question du jour, are they heading to Miami? Let's dive in today with the mayor of Miami, Francis Suarez. Good to see you, Mayor.
Good to see you too. Of course they're heading to Miami. That's a no-brainer.
Where else would they be going, right?
I don't know.
Well, look, thanks for making the time today. Look, Miami is really the city coming out of the pandemic as the destination for so many reasons, not just travel, but for companies, for talent. Let's talk about it. The last couple of years, right? It's almost exactly 2 years since the pandemic started. What were those 2 years like for you personally, running the government, and then also the acceleration of Miami as a destination for so many reasons?
Well, it started for me in many ways on March 12th of 2020, when I was the first person in Miami-Dade County to test positive for COVID. And I was one of the first elected officials in the country to test positive for COVID. So, immediately Miami and myself were thrust into the national spotlight to talk about COVID and how we responded to COVID. And so I think being the first person to contract COVID in Dade County, the first elected official in the country, I think gave me a very, very interesting perspective on COVID. And I think, being now, reflecting on that time where we're now number one in the nation, as you sort of intimated, in pandemic recovery, it means that Miami struck the right balance between making sure people were safe and protected from COVID and making sure that our economy was healthy and strong and wasn't adversely affecting people. And I think that was a big game changer when people were looking at Miami versus other parts of the country on where they wanted to be and spend the pandemic. Once they decided to come down here, and remote work made it even easier for that to happen, right? Because you could actually come to Miami without losing your job, right? Without impacting your job at all. So you didn't have to lose your job. You came to the most open city with the most commerce in the world in many ways. And that confluence of people came, that critical mass. Then all of a sudden, people started thinking about their lifestyle, right? Their quality of life, and saying, wait a second, do I really want to go back to a place where there are state income taxes, so I have to pay more in taxes? Do I really want to go to a place where the cost of living is double or triple at the time? Do I really want to go to a place that's cold? I really want to go to a place that's significantly more dense, that has less, vegetation, less water, where you can, all recreational activities? And Miami then took advantage of that, started creating more cultural offerings, more sports offerings. Like we have Formula One now. We're only one of two cities in America that have Formula One beginning now May 8th. We have Major League Soccer that just began, and we're hoping to do a stadium in the city proper. And then we are spending $100 million on a linear park called the Underline, which will rival the High Line, the Atlanta Beltway, and Millennium Park in Chicago. So obviously we have our Basel, which is the largest art fair in the world. And it's become we call it NFT Basel now, because it's become a tech conference, much like South by Southwest started as a music conference and became a tech conference. And so, Miami has just become a place where we've metamorphosized, right? From being a sun and fun place to vacation and to retire, to a place now where all thought leaders are coming. We had this year Milken. We had the JP Morgan Global Conference. We have Aspen here this year. We have the Bitcoin conference. We have what we call Miami Tech Month that began April 1st with the NFT week, now going into Bitcoin conference, then going into Miami Tech Week, then going into Emerge. I mean, these are all tech conferences all in 1 month. Yeah. So what we've done in 2 years is exceptional.
So talk about the real estate impact. I come from a real estate background. Miami was always hot, right? I mean, a destination for condos and hotels and nightlife and fun, right? But now this type of infrastructure that you're building, how are you either playing catch up or meeting the demand for housing, for office space, for other needs in the community?
Yeah. Well, what we're experiencing, I don't think we've ever experienced in the history of our city. Yeah. This is a hyper demand, right? And of course, it's what's layered on top of that is unfortunately massive inflation, right? We have inflation that there's not even good statistics on how much it's affecting the housing market. I mean, I've seen articles that say that across the country in urban America, rental prices are up 25% or more. And, I just came from Austin recently. Austin's having a very big problem with rental price increases. Miami is one of the highest rental price increases in the nation. But the good news for Miami, as opposed to other places around the country, is we have the ability to grow our way out of that, demand crunch. Right, we have right now 47,000 units in our building pipeline, our development pipeline. That's a 25% increase in our housing stock. And then we have about 6 million square feet of commercial space in the pipeline as well, which I suspect will be 8 or 10 million. By the way, that's in an environment where, you have this retail revolution with Amazon. You have this commercial space revolution with remote work. So the fact that we are, the fourth quarter of 2020, we had the most, gross square feet of real estate ever leased in the history of Miami, is really just a recognition of how bullish the U.S. and the world is on Miami right now.
So I loved during the pandemic, you came out with a tweet that said, "How can I help?" When somebody said, "Is this going to be a destination? Like, why aren't VCs flocking here?" And it reminded me of Ed Koch kind of being like, "How am I doing?" Right? Like this kind of personal, like ownership of accountability and accessibility. Talk about that. Like, how do you want people to see you as a mayor, whether you're a company looking to come to Miami or existing residents and tenants?
Well, in a phrase, we want people to think we're open for business, right? And we want to be facilitators, not obstructors. I think what happened is, you had the COVID moment that I talked about, which was March 12th, 2020. The next significant moment was December 4th, 2020. That tweet was on December 4th, 2020. And that was a tweet from one of the members of the Founders Fund, which is a major VC hedge fund, a venture capital fund, that said, "Hey guys, what if we move Silicon Valley to Miami?" And I responded very innocently, "How can I help?" And the truth is that that's a project that I've been working on for 10 years. So people see the sort of, supersonic growth curve that we're on right now, and they think that this was something that just happened in that instantaneous moment. And the truth is, I tell people this is a 10-year overnight success story. We've been trying to build a technology ecosystem for 10 years, putting in the building blocks, understanding that the economy of today and tomorrow is going to involve more and more tech, whether you like tech or not, whether you think there are issues related to tech and privacy and censorship and all those things, you can feel that way. But it's unavoidable that technology is a bigger and bigger part of our world. I have a 4-year-old, or she's about to be 4 now in April. And when she was 2, she would take a picture with her, with her pacifier as if it were a selfie. You know what I mean? And once you see your daughter doing that at that age, you realize that technology has, sort of invaded every single aspect of our lives. And if a 2-year-old is doing that, that when she's 20 or 40 or 60, there's going to be another wave of greater technology that's going to impact how we make decisions. It's going to impact how, the industries, our jobs, right? What kind of jobs are available? And, the cities not only in America, but across the world have to position themselves for this new reality. I call it a metamorphosis from the industrial revolution to the technological industrial revolution. And that's happening, right? And it's a generational opportunity. And we have an opportunity to lean into that generational opportunity, or to pretend it's not happening and lose it, And I think that's how passionate I am about the issue. And I think the fact that we moved into the space when other cities were moving out of the space, like famously New York said, kicked out Amazon after they won the competition, or you had, some council people or elected officials in San Francisco said F Elon Musk, and he replied, "Message received," and left.
Yeah.
That anti-innovator, creator and founder attitude is what created a massive opportunity for our Miami, and we stepped into the void.
So really, the success is a triangle, right? It's the VC dollars, it's the entrepreneurs and innovators, but it's also the talent, right? And it really seems from a real estate standpoint, what we hear from every company is like, just take us to where the talent is. Like, we'll open offices wherever they are. Talk about how you build a long-standing talent base to meet this growing demand, right? Like, this influx is 10 years in the making, but this 2-year acceleration, Mayor, I mean, this has happened fast, right? I mean, I have friends in New York who have relocated to Miami. Their companies are there now. This is topic du jour.
Absolutely. And so I think there's 2 pieces to it. The first is to attract talent, right? We're number 1 in the nation right now. Let me repeat that. We're number 1 in the nation in tech job migration. Meaning we are migrating talent faster than any other city in the country. So what happens is talent will go where there are opportunities, right? They're going to go to places where they can grow and scale their companies. The companies of tomorrow. And the fact that we've aggregated over $1 trillion of assets under management companies to Miami in the last 16 months, and that our VC pipeline has grown by 200% in the last year, is a signal to the market that if you're a talented person, you should be in Miami because your deal is going to get funded there. So that's the first thing we're doing. The second thing that we're doing is we want to build an educational pipeline that rivals, all the other major talent pipelines like Boston and to some extent Texas with UT, and even Atlanta with Georgia Tech, and Illinois with Champaign and Stanford, so we want to have our own version of that. In the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, you have KAUST, which is a graduate school, for the highest biotech and technology schools in Abu Dhabi. And in UAE, you have partnerships with NYU. In Qatar, you have partnerships with Cornell. And Georgetown. So what's happening is a lot of regions around the world understand that they've got to develop their talent at the highest level. We're no different. And so I'm working with a variety of stakeholders that are new Miamians that have the ability to fund higher education, because I also think that higher education is ripe for disruption. I think that a lot of educational institutions are archaic and are creating the kinds of educational pathways that do not really meet the market. And I think that if we can take advantage of that, just like we've taken advantage of this by going into crypto and DeFi when other places are skeptical of it, right? Which has created a massive opportunity for us. The Bitcoin conference, which is here right now, obviously, $200 million naming of our arena by FTX. Blockchain.com moving its headquarters, eToro, an Israeli company, moving its headquarters. So you have, this massive branding shift as the crypto capital of the world, in addition to focusing on higher ed in a disruptive way, so that we can, push ahead and go to the top on that as well.
Yeah. So let's talk real quick about climate change. I mean, Miami, obviously a coastal city, you're leaning in on it. Talk to us about this. I mean, it's the elephant in the room, right? I mean, as we, as a nation, as a planet, as a civilization, as we look to address these challenges, you're stepping up to it. What are you up to? What are you focused on?
I think the first thing is you can't put your head in the sand and pretend like it's not happening, right? You have to address it. You have to acknowledge it, and then you have to dedicate resources to it. We're probably one of the only cities in America, or one of a few cities in America, that have actually dedicated hundreds of millions of dollars to upgrading our resiliency infrastructure, right, through a Miami Forever plan, because we want to be here forever for our grandchildren's grandchildren. We're coupling that with state dollars. We just got $50 million from the state, and obviously the infrastructure bill from the federal government, which we think will leverage those $250 million. But what most people don't know is that Miami is already extremely resilient. Miami has actually suffered less hurricane damage in the last 10 years than New York City. And that shocks people to know. And it's not because we have less storms. It's not because they have, more storms than we do. We have more storms than they do. It's because we've been investing over time through our building codes, through the private sector, in creating a more resilient city. They haven't. When they get hit with a big storm, they're not ready. We're ready. We get hit with a ton of storms, and we're always ready for it. I mean, this is a historic building that I'm in right now, which is Miami City Hall. Those windows behind me are impact windows, right? In a historic building. So we have upgraded our infrastructure to meet Mother Nature, and we are going to continue to invest in climate tech so that we can be a leader globally on sustainability technologies that will help us live well into the future.
So let's get back to crypto real quick. So this has become almost a competition between you and Mayor Adams and other leaders around the country. I mean, I think you've put real dollars, right? Like Miami Coin has been created. I mean, how hard are you leaning into making it known and established that if you're into crypto, Miami is the place to be?
Well, if you're into poker, we have gone all in, right? We've gone all in because we were the David in this David and Goliath story, right? We were the little guy, right? We were the underdog. And so we needed the slingshot, we needed some technology. We needed some differentiator to help us slay Goliath, which was Silicon Valley. And for me, it was crypto. Every time I would talk about crypto, my analytics in social media would go through the roof, which gave me an impression of how systemic crypto was in this country. I've now heard that 1 in 5 people in this country have a crypto account. That's 60 million Americans. I mean, it takes 80 million to elect a president. So imagine and particularly in disadvantaged areas of our country. I was recently in Chicago, and the deputy mayor of Chicago was telling me how many African-American and Hispanic homes in Chicago have crypto accounts. So this is much, much deeper and more systemic than people think. And when you see hyperinflation, when you see a variety of actions that are being taken by governments across the world, you're seeing people go into a Bitcoin in particular because they understand that a system that does not have human intervention is a safe system. And so people often talk about the volatility of Bitcoin, and they have every right to. When you look at its historic gains, it's not a particularly volatile asset, and it hasn't been particularly volatile this year. But what we've seen is Bitcoin is on average right now priced 46,000 times greater than the US dollar. And the US dollar, is the base currency of the world. So if you have a technology that's 46,000 times more valuable than the base currency of the world, there's definitely something there. And that's what the market is telling us.
So last question, I'll let you go. You're now the new president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. To your point, millions of Americans are already on Bitcoin. You're leading on these issues. What's your political future hold? Could you ever see yourself run for higher office for president on a crypto platform?
Well, I do think that there will be, and maybe as soon as the next president will be a president that embraces a crypto platform. That I can tell you for sure. Because all you have to do is look at how the crypto community jumped in during the infrastructure bill when there was language in there that was anti-crypto. So I think that they're learning how to express their political power, and I think that's only going to grow over time. By the time 2024 comes around, I think it could very well be a crypto president in the United States. In terms of me, I'm going to be president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors for a year and a half. I just started in January. My view is we built the best city in the planet in Miami, and we built it by following some simple rules. And if we just use those rules and we scale them to urban cities across America, we can create a competitive advantage for our country that will last a generation. That's my theory. That's my thesis. And if I do that, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of political opportunities going forward, ones that I'll be excited about, and we'll talk about it then.
Well, look, Mayor Suarez, appreciate you coming on Coffee with Ken. For those tuning in, you can also check out Cafecito Talks. The mayor has his own coffee talk show, which is fantastic, and he gets fantastic guests there as well. To everybody tuning in, thank you for joining us. Our next Coffee with Ken is going to be with Ita Zur, the CEO of VHO. Visit us at coffeewithken.com to register and to catch up on old episodes. Mr. Mayor, thanks for joining us, and have a great day.
Thank you, Ken. I had a great time.